One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Oh.
Hey guys, this video is a little different. It's not like a commercial audition, monologue, review of reality shows, nothing like that. It's a movie review. But first, don't be discouraged and want to click because I will not, I promise, I will not give you any movie spoilers. Like, I will not tell you the movie because I know a lot of people want to go see Selma and it was just amazing. I will not give you any spoilers. I promise. And you see I got my Penn State shirt on, Penn State alumni, bachelor's in theater. I'm gonna go back and get my master's. Education, educate yourself. Education is key. So, I went to the movies with my 65-year-old aunt, and growing up, her and my uncle Rob, who's a Pittsburgh playwright, he passed, but he was a Pittsburgh playwright. They always taught me about my history, education. They always wanted me to know like where our family came from and how we got to the north and things like that. And when you're a kid, you really don't appreciate those things until you get older and you see things. And I never experienced racism until I got to high school. And when I got to high school, I was like, there was only 3 black girls that were in my grade, and then they ended up all leaving, and it was just me and I think it was another black guy. So you could literally count on your hands how many black people were there. It was predominantly white. A lot of my white friends were nice. They were sweet. They were cool. But I mean, I got nigger this, nigger that. You ain't going to college. Black people don't go to college. They're stupid. Boom. Penn State alumni. Graduated with a 3.0 average. Yeah, and I'm going back to get my master's, so how about that? What's up? Exactly. And half of them motherfuckers didn't even go to college. This ain't about black and white. Well, it kind of is, but then again, it's really not. My point is, I never experienced racism until my teens. And then I experienced it again when I was in college. Me and a couple of my friends were out and we were shopping and we were being followed. And it was embarrassing. It was ridiculous. It was disgusting. So, Selma, I'll tell you this movie holds absolutely nothing back. There is no sugarcoating it. It shows you what it is, period, point blank. And let me just give you a little background real quick. Selma is, based on the voting rights of the African Americans. African Americans' right to vote. Coretta Scott King marched, Martin Luther King marched, for our freedom and our right to vote in Selma, Alabama. My family is from Opelika, Alabama, country. And I remember my aunt Annie. She's 65. She would always tell me stories about how she visited Opelika, Alabama, and this is Alabama in general I'm speaking of. And I think she had mouthed off to an older white man, and he was like livid. It was a big mess, but clearly nothing happened to her. She's alive. But she told me that story, and then she was telling me about how her father's grandfather lived through slavery, and of course he made it out of slavery. We were in Opelika for many years, and then we moved to the north. My grandfather moved up here through circumstances that I cannot disclose because of the nature of our family's history. It could be a really bad thing. He didn't do anything bad. Just know that if he wouldn't have come here to Pittsburgh, to the north, our family, I wouldn't be here. Our family bloodline wouldn't be here, basically. And he made it to the north, and here we are. Came from nothing to everything. My aunt, lawyer, has a PhD. Her sister has a PhD as well. She's a social worker. Her brother, Pittsburgh playwright, PhD. I mean, I come from a long line of educated people. I could go on and on, but I'm not about to get on my whole family line. That's too much. So yeah, she would tell me, stories about Alabama, the church bombings. I remember she said her and the girls that were killed in the Birmingham bombing, they were the same age. And she said she was walking out, I think she was going to school, and she stopped in her tracks, and she turned on the TV, and there it was, the Birmingham bombing. And she just remembered, it was horrible. And she was just telling me stories about, how her parents used to march, how her parents took her down to the roots, our roots, Alabama, Opelika, Alabama. And I've been down there myself, but I didn't really get to see much. I was in kind of one little disclosed area, but there's a lot of cotton fields, a lot of, I think we were across the street from a plantation, so I've seen that. It's crazy. But yeah, her mom took them down there. She wanted them to see what segregation was like, and it was literally that she took them down there to see that right before the civil rights movement occurred. So it was right before all of it occurred. And yeah, it was horrible. I remember she said that they got off the bus and they went to a restaurant, and it was whites only, blacks only. And she went in, and their food was disgusting. They had no lighting in the room. I mean, it was she said the crackers were hard, everything was stale. It was just disgusting. But my grandma wanted her to see that. They wanted her to see what exactly they were going through, and they were harassed and things like that. But I mean, they made it out, and I couldn't have went through that. I couldn't have. I think people that went through that so strong, so strong. And that's the thing. I wish more people would educate themselves, especially African Americans, because a lot of us are not unintelligent, and education is key. Know your history, because they're not teaching it in schools anymore. Growing up when I was little, I had my aunts and uncles to tell me these things, and then I did have some African American teachers who taught it, and they told me these things as well. But nowadays it's different. They're not teaching these things. And I want people to, when you hear about the civil rights movement, you hear about everything that whites and blacks went through, do not hate the Caucasian race. Every white person is not racist, and every black person is not ignorant. Please, 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 please remember that. I want to say that I think his name is David. How do you pronounce it? David Oleo. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I apologize. But he played Martin Luther King. Phenomenal. Down to the voice, everything, the humbleness, everything. He gave me chills. Carmen Ejogo, I think that's how you pronounce it. She played Coretta Scott. Phenomenal. Common did an amazing job. I love Common job. That is a sexy black man. Oprah was amazing. Who else? There's so many people. Andre Holland, amazing. There's so many people I could go down the line, but there's a lot. There's so many people I can't even. Everybody in this film was amazing to a T. When I say this, the director got it right. I mean, the hair, the makeup, the character, amazing, amazing. Like I've never. This is why I want to go into acting, because I walked out of there with a new respect for my culture. You know what I mean? The more and more I see what my people go through, the more I respect them and the more thankful that I am. You know what I mean? Um, because I don't have to go through that. I mean, granted, we do endure racism. We do. And it hasn't changed. And it's probably never going to change. And it's sad. Um, but they went through so much worse than we probably will ever go through. Ever. And I couldn't imagine being I couldn't imagine the nonviolent protest. I couldn't imagine not being violent. And I'm not saying I'm a violent person, but everybody has a breaking point. And when you just continue to be hit and spit on and hosed and the dogs coming after you, what did they spray them with tear gas? When you do all of these things to a certain race or what have you, there's no way you cannot be violent. I feel. I feel. But what I love about Selma is the unity between blacks and whites. And this is not giving away anything in the movie, because if you actually did your research and you studied it, you would know that whites marched right along with blacks, Jews, everybody. They all marched, and it was unity, and it just showed that no, not all white people are racist. It's not about that. They're not all like that. But it definitely gives you a new appreciation for your culture. And like, I mean, that movie, I was just in tears. Like, I was at a loss for words. Like, certain parts I had to get up and leave. Certain parts I was holding my chest. I was crying. Oh my gosh, I just can't even imagine going through that. It was just, I couldn't imagine, like, I couldn't imagine, I just could not imagine that. And I think the thing that hurts me the most is the Birmingham bombing. Just those little girls. How can you hurt children, and so much hate for one race. I'll never understand, because I wasn't raised to hate. Like my aunts, they taught me, about the civil rights movement, about slavery, but they never talked down on any race. They never bashed any race. They were never like, don't talk to this person. Like, they were like, you need to treat everybody how you want to be treated, no matter what they are, what the color of their skin is. Because I don't care if you could be purple, we could be the best of friends. If you got a fucked up attitude, I won't deal with you. That's just how it is. But I don't know. I love this movie. I love it. I loved it. It didn't hold back. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I was crying. I was clapping. I was sad. I was happy. I was so many things, because I want us to just, I want everybody to go see this movie. Not even in honor of Black History Month. Just go see this movie. Please. I know a lot of y'all probably could get it on bootleg. Get it on bootleg. Watch it. All races. Black, white, Spanish, Asian, Indian. I don't care who you are. Go watch this movie. Some of you might not like it, but that's fine. It's real. It happened. We can't change it, but we could progress. We can't change it, but we could be better. You know what I mean? It's amazing. It's one of the most amazing movies I've seen in a long time. Just amazing, amazing. Um, right now, I'm going to interview my aunt, ask her a few questions about the civil rights movement and things that she remembers. I hope you stay tuned and actually watch this video and educate yourselves. Educate yourselves. Seriously, learn your culture. I don't care what nationality, what race you are. Learn your culture. Educate yourself on your culture and appreciate your culture. I mean, I can remember me. I'm brown skin, like a dark brown. Look at my edges, look at my roots. I can remember hating my race, hating myself because I didn't want to be. It's not even that I didn't want to be black. I just I didn't like my hair. I didn't like my skin tone. I was like, I'm not pretty. I'm ugly because I'm dark skinned and I got nappy hair. But I had to learn. I gotta love myself because if I don't love me, nobody else is gonna love me. I love my brown skin now. I love my thick hair. It ain't nappy. It's thick. There's the difference. Love yourself. Just embrace it and have a newfound appreciation. And go see Selma. Go see that because that movie, them previews don't do it justice. That movie is everything. Go see Selma. Um, Yep, so stay tuned for the interview. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Okay, what is your name?
And Penny.
Can you tell me a little bit about your family history, if you remember anything,
In terms of,
the civil rights movement?
well, we are from Alabama, where a lot of things took place. Um, before the marches actually began, my parents thought they were a little perceptive when it came to political things. They thought that it would be good for my family to go south. We'd all came up here from the south, and thought it would be good for us to go back down there, so that we could see exactly what segregation was and why we were going to be fighting to integrate. So we did go back down to the south, and we saw the white water fountain, the colored water fountain, the white bathroom, and a colored bathroom, and different way they did different things. And naturally, even though the water came from the same place, the white fountains and bathrooms and everything, they were always cleaned, whereas ours wasn't. It was always dirty. You couldn't even really drink out of ours. So we saw that. We saw, when you hit the Mason-Dixon line, how if you were sitting in the front of the bus, you had to go to the back of the bus. We're little kids. We ran on up to the front, and they wouldn't let us on. And so we had to get to the back. Our mother just, let us know we had to go to the back. When we were Catholics. So we went on a Friday, and we had to have no meat at that time. So my mother let us ran into the restaurant while she was taking care of some business, but she wanted us to experience it ourselves. So we went there and we started asking for our tuna and cheese sandwiches or whatever, and they just kept walking back and forth, waiting on all the white people like we weren't even there. And then finally my mother came and she just let us know, no, you can't get waited there. You have to go to this back room. And that's what we did. We went to the back room, and in the back room there was some little old table and some chairs, and only light was the light from a skylight. And they proceeded to take our order, bring our food back. The food was so stale that we could not eat it. And the differences that they showed from what they were eating, what we were eating, riding in the back of the bus and everything was just separate, but it was totally unequal.
Okay. How did you guys, were you born like here, or were you born in Alabama?
No. My parents came up here just before I was born, and I was born in Pennsylvania. But my three brothers and my mother and father, they were all from the South, and all the rest of, my relatives were.
Okay. So how do you feel about the incidents, the black and white crimes today as opposed to the incidents that happened back then? Do you think it's a repeating of the past, or do you think nothing has changed?
I think when we was dealing with not only civil rights, but when we was dealing with the black movement, there was more of a unity. And
so
it
you
was
don't
more,
think African Americans are more united nowadays?
well, there was more of a unity there.
Okay.
And you everyone was, if you walk down the street, you got greeted.
Okay.
Some way or another, we acknowledge each other. As today, if we see one another, we try to turn our head, act like we don't see each other. We don't speak. White media has us so afraid of even looking at our men. We used to, relish, walking down the street and having a brother say something to us. Now it's like, let me go across the street. I don't know what he do because of how white media keeps portraying our men, which is wrong.
Okay.
So as far as now and then, like I say, there was that unity. We just don't have that unity or that looking out for each other like we used to.
Okay.
I
had quoted in my video that you and Uncle Rob were the main two people in the family who made sure I seen, the Birmingham bombings videos. I seen the marches, the hoses, and you guys basically kept me educated on slavery in the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
And I also said that I didn't actually experience racism until high school. Like, that I knew was racism until high school. Can you tell us your first experience of racism or being discriminated against?
Well, Jesus. I think when you're young, you don't even realize it as you did. You just feel like, oh, they got a bad day. Or they're just mean. Or they're just mean. You don't really think about it. But then as you start getting older, you see that it's a little more than meanness. It's actually looking at you and deciding I don't like you because of your color. And you get that often. I think when I first I went to a business school before I went to college. And in my business school, they asked us to come in and integrate Mellon Bank. Mellon Bank did not hire blacks at the time. So Mellon Bank had started a program for their executives, and then we got about 2 or 3 of us got hired as secretaries. And I remember them saying that the white girls could wear sleeveless, they could dye their hair, they could wear their skirts a certain way, but blacks needed to cover themselves up. So that's when you start seeing that discrimination and that, wait, let us catch up. Let us, get used to you. Dumb stuff like that. So I think that was the first time I really started seeing it, was with Mellon Bank.
Do you think, because you didn't raise me to be, to feel a certain way about white people. You raised me to treat everybody with respect. Do you think that your experiences shaped the way you feel about white people, or do you try to practice like what you preach? Do you try to treat everybody as equal because of your experiences?
I will give you the benefit of a doubt. but I have not lived this long not to know racism, and I will not tolerate it.
Without giving away any movie spoilers, how do you feel overall about Selma? Like, what is your reaction?
The beginning was absolutely magnificent. I can remember that bombing, exactly where I was, exactly how I was standing, the total effect on me. Um, it was horrifying.
So overall, you think the movie was accurate?
Oh, yeah. When I was in college, I can remember a professor trying to say that Johnson, 7 presidents were always the ones that had done the most for the advancement of black people. But, in the picture, you kind of see that Johnson, his political animal, when he was a senator, he did so many doing favors that he could call in favors. And in that picture, you just didn't see him calling in favors the way he should have. And so, yeah, it was pretty accurate. There's a lot more he could have did because he was a political animal. And he should have been able to call in them favors and get things done, boom, 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 no matter how. Because they were terrible.
Mm-hmm. Do you think David portrayed Martin Luther King in an accurate way?
Yeah, he some of the things that had came out in the public about King, he portrayed him, and he did an excellent job. I remember when King came through Pittsburgh, he did an excellent job.
Okay, so you think the casting overall everything was accurate, just amazing.
They were excellent. That was an excellent picture. He did a good job, and I'm glad he pushed to have it done.
I guess my last question would be, from your experiences, because you've done theater and things like that, and your brother was a playwright. Why do you think a lot of the movies that have to do with the civil rights movement and slavery and so forth, why do you think they don't make as much money in the box office as opposed to other like horror films and things like that? Like, why do you think
it kind of reminds you of when the civil rights or the black movement first started. You had this group of people that didn't want to get involved. They kind of wanted to be part of the mainstream, and so they didn't want to, be seen as dealing with that. You got the same thing going on now, where you got this group of middle class or whatever, and they don't want to get involved. They don't want anything to mess with their money. So they don't exactly support the way they don't want to be seen as that. And they don't want to support anything that may have whoever is giving them the money, the white folks, saying something about them. So I think, they kind of, it just seems to be the same thing. It's the money.
And this will be my last thing. I noticed that growing up, like, I'm fortunate to know where my family came from. I know our family history, and I know a lot about the civil rights movement, slavery, and things like that. Nowadays, the children, my generation included, and younger, they're not being educated on those things in schools and things like that, and they don't have parents, people that are my age, 23, having kids, and they're not educating them properly. What do you think about that? Like, what is your opinion on the education and why, how do you feel about the kids not being educated on Black history? And do you think that's going to affect us in the future?
In the past, when it was, a lot of Black teachers, they made sure you knew. They made sure you were educated. They made sure you understood. I think it's up to the Black teachers to keep pushing that. To make sure that kids understand what the civil rights movement meant to them, what the Black movement meant to them. I'm really looking forward to someone that can put that together, the Black movement, and show all the positive things that came out of that. We show the civil rights because it's kind of safe, when it comes to white folks. And we kind of leave the black movement alone because that was very offensive to white people. But I'm really looking forward to someone that's in that realm, movie and, industry to start trying to put that together and show all of it. So, and I think once you start showing that, you not only are educating our kids as to the whole picture that was out there. I mean, in that picture, they made reference to Snick, but Snick did a whole lot. Rat Brown and Stokely Carmichael, they were pushing that, and it was a big deal. So there's a lot of things that, the kids need to be educated to. And it seems like movies seem to be the thing for kids to see. So we need to push that.
Okay.
And our teachers, educate our kids.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.